Welcome to Movie World, the place where we only talk movies. I'm Andy Signor, and I'm here to review The Kingsman. This is a prequel, or I guess origin, if you will, of The Kingsman, The Secret Service, starring Taron Egerton and Colin Firth. There was a sequel as well, and I got to be honest, I actually really enjoyed both Kingsman films. There's a kinetic energy, just a raw grittiness to its action and its tone. It's very R-rated, and I really did enjoy both of those films. So I was going into The Kingsman very excited. You're sensing a but. Well, hopefully, because there is a but. I went into this film open-minded. I actually didn't watch too much about it because I wanted to just go in and hopefully have some fun. I did know it was like more of a prequel historical version of Kingsman, and I thought, all right, well, they're gonna go back in time and show us sort of an earlier days. And I was like, all right, I could see how that goes. But I gotta be honest. I just was really disappointed by this film. There are some sequences in it and some moments that are fun, that are great, but they're few and far between. The film's pacing and overall tone is just so different that it was kind of jarring for me. It starts kind of promising, and then it proceeds to give you this history lesson that introducing all these characters and politics and backstories, et cetera, and it's just such an info dump that I just sort of was immediately off-putting. I just couldn't get. And then on top of that, the film is definitely more of a drama in a way, which I would have been okay with, but then it still continues to try to be, have that kinetic Kingsman energy. But the two tones just don't match as well. This film is a lot slower pacing than I expected from a Kingsman movie. Action not as exciting as you'd hope, or maybe you'd expect from a film like this. Ralph Fiennes is fun to see in a film like this. He does have some moments where he gets to fight and get into that stuff. But it's nice to see these sort of like British actors you wouldn't expect, like Colin Firth and Ralph Fiennes, getting into this action. But at the end of the day, it's still way more talking. And there's a whole dynamic between Ralph Fiennes and his son, who I don't even know the character's name. That's the other problem I got to say. Like, these two are sort of the main leads. And like, as you look at these posters, like Tom Hollander is the king. Matthew Good is Morton. Harris Dickinson is Conrad. Gemma Arterton is Polly. I mean, are these really making you excited for the film? Jaimin Hunsu is Shola. Ralph Fiennes as Oxford. Rhys Ifans as Rasputin is definitely, he's the standout. He's the funnest part. There's a really weird sequence with him and Oxford in the film that's the highlight, and that's when the film shines. However, when it's not, and it takes so long to get to the scene with Rasputin that it was kind of frustrating. But that's sort of the best way to sort of sum up my thoughts on this movie. There are a handful of scenes that I enjoyed, and then there's over a 2-hour movie around it that I didn't. That just sort of, I think, was edited poorly. It just like the film didn't know what it was trying to do. And so in order to try and keep the same frenetic energy that the other two movies had, it tries to fast forward through these history and character backstories and explanations of the three kings and why they're fighting and the war and Ralph Oxford's son who wants to go to war and why does he want to go to war. And then you got all this historical drama before we even get to the Kingsman and what that entails. And then midway through the movie, they get back into the Kingsman. And when they get there, that's when the film shines. When they focus on the Kingsman and what that means and how it started and what the mission at hand, the film definitely starts accelerating to a better direction. However, I just was so frustrated that this film didn't have a little bit more fun with itself. By going back and doing this prequel that I really don't think we needed, I'm always so hesitant on prequels. I feel like they always are underwhelming because you sort of know where things are going. And so we're just seeing a sort of installment to sort of stretch things out. And so there's an attempt to like sort of do this historical approach, but there is a mid-credit scene in the film that really doubles down on the whole historical idea of what the sequel potentially to these origin series films could be. And even that, after I got it, I was like, nah, I'm good. Not if the tone's like this. If the tone's not going completely, off the wall, crazy, fun, and action packed, and bloody and all that stuff, this isn't a Kingsman movie then. That's what those films are supposed to be about, or at least what I'm going in to expect. So I wasn't a fan of what this new, slower, and I think slow is the wrong word. It is so quickly edited and they're doing all these tricks in the edit to try and zoom through to get to the other parts. And you quickly realize, like, my God, it's a lot of information you're trying to jam down my throat. Too much information to jam down my throat. Also, I hate the title, The Kingsman, to make it separate from The Kingsman, the Secret Service. It's just like, couldn't you just call it Kingsman prequel or something? You know, Kingsman origin stories or something. You could have easily kept the Kingsman title without doing the space and now making it a whole separate title. It annoys me. It's bad for search and for getting this video to you. Who's typing up The Kingsman? Even I forgot what it was called. Another reason why I just feel like this whole thing was just under thought out. Granted, this film has been delayed a while because of obviously the pandemic and stuff. And this is a Fox holdover that Disney did keep because I guess it was already so far along. But I'll be honest, if this one doesn't do well, I imagine this will be the end of the Kingsman franchise. And I don't think this film's going to do well. It's opening up against Spider-Man, which it's like, what are you doing opening up near Spider-Man? And then Matrix 4, which I'm going to be reviewing next week. And it's just weird. It's just so weird. The film centers around these two. You got Oxford and I don't remember these people's names. Oxford and Conrad. That's right. Conrad is his son. And there's like so much potential. You're rooting for it. And then the film goes in some different directions that I was just like, what? What? What's the point of all this? I don't want to watch this. And I don't want to spoil it, but there's just some choices through the plot that sure one might say are surprising or different, but they just weren't what I expected or wanted in a Kingsman movie. And so while the film's doing its best to try and justify it all and make things connected and keep you entertained, for me it was just a very tonal mess and not one I connected to or not one. And the sequence, the few sequences that were entertaining were not enough for me to ultimately like rave or be excited about this film. The film is a mess is the best word I can show. It's totally trying to trick, I think, a lot of people and for you guys to think it's going to be like Kingsman. And then it has some moments of brashness, etc. But ultimately it's a historical drama at times about the war and who started the war and Ralph Fiennes from far behind trying to be, an event at the beginning of the film makes him choose not to be violent. And then events throughout the film sort of come out of, and then is that really actually the best way? And yeah, no, it wasn't. And I wanted more violence throughout. That's the film I expected. Too much serious talk, too many plot explanations, too many characters ultimately at the end of the day that make the Kingsman sadly a disappointment for me. I really wanted to go in loving this. I really hope to rave and be excited and keep this franchise going. But after this one, I'm kind of Kingsman'd out. If they're going to make something, I hope they will just move forward. But again, there's a mid-credit scene that teases clearly this world growing, and I'm not that interested. Were you guys excited for this? Are you going to see it? What do you guys think? Make sure you hit subscribe if you haven't already for more movie reviews like this. The bell for all alerts. Smash that like button. Let me know down below what you think. Are you excited for it? Are you nervous? Do you like the Kingsman franchise so far? Share all your thoughts and help the engagement of this video down below. Thank you guys so much for watching here on Movie World.